testing, making sure this sounds good. Yada yada yada. Let me see. Filters. Yeah, this probably sounds good. Let me double check. Okay. Hi everybody. It's Gabby. Good to see you guys again. I'm alive. It's been like a month. Lol. So if you guys aren't on my Discord, you probably or like follow me on Twitter, you probably haven't seen me around at all. And that's because for those of you who don't know, I had to make a fairly sudden move out of the apartment I was staying in because the guy who I was renting with is a shithead. And Matt Salazar, if you're out there, go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit and you're transphobic and racist. You know? But I'm alive. I am in a very nice apartment with my roommates. Cricket, who you guys might know. She's been on here a number of times. My girlfriend, and then a coworker of mine. Very happy to have this apartment. It's a little expensive, but anything would have been expensive because the economy is in shambles and we're all very poor. But I'm very thankful to have what I have. It's very nice. It's comfortable. I have my own bathroom, which is very nice. Um, I can't tell you how happy I am to have a toilet seat that fits me. I have not had one of those since I left Florida. So that's cool. But yeah, I'm alive. We're struggling a little bit currently because you know we all just put all of our money into the apartment. So we don't have internet. I'm recording this and then I'm gonna move it to my phone and then I'm gonna upload it to YouTube from my phone using my data. But I'm doing good. We're all doing good. Had some ramen, some home cooked ramen tonight. That was delicious. So you guys are probably wondering, or not, who knows? Hey Gabby, when you coming back? And I'm like, soon. Now that we have the apartment, soon. For those who don't know, I was living out of a motel for an entire month. Very bad motel. Very low quality. Hot water barely existed. I had a guy smoking his fucking cigarettes like right in the room right next to me, so that bled into the wall all the time. Bled through the wall all the time, so like I would constantly be smelling it. You know, it was a little bit further from work, and now this apartment is actually even further from work, but it's a little bit more bearable because it's like a roof over my head. Also the motel was very expensive. It was about $600 for a twin bed for me and my coworker to stay in because she was living with us at the time of the move. It was about $600 for the two of us, and then I was also taking care of a dog, and the dog was like another $400. So it was like $1,000 for 2 weeks, and that shit sucked. Which like so that didn't help with my bank account. But again, very happy to be where I'm at now. It's very nice. So you know, I don't have internet yet, but we'll be returning fairly shortly after I get internet. I'm hoping to have it up by this Saturday, but we'll have to see. But definitely by next week, for sure. For sure. So that's cool. If you guys would like to help me out, help my roommates and I out a lot, I have a Throne account. That should be. I'll put a link up on the screen here. Let me double check what it is, what the URL is, real quick. for my throne wish list. It's gonna just be like essentials, food, water, dog food for my dog, stuff like that. Nothing major. So yeah, that's throne.com/MRSGABBY. Again, that's throne, THRONE.com/Mrs. Gabby. Again, that's spelled MRSGABBY. Um, so basic stuff: beef ravioli, crackers, dog food, ramen, um, stuff like that. Uh, there are stuff like computer parts on there, but that's like non-important. I think I can actually remove those. We can go ahead and just like focus on the food. That would be super helpful. So yeah, gonna have a link in the description and on the screen and in the comments. You guys can't miss it. Stuff that I want to play when I get back. I have plans. There are plans, sort of. Nothing set in stone because some of it requires like some money. Persona 5 Royal. I want to play that. I'm hearing interesting things about the Trails games, like Trails of what is it? Cold Sky, stuff like that. I remember seeing that on the Xbox 360 when I was a kid. And being like, "Oh, cool, it's like a strategy RPG, but it's like anime and like it looks good." Cool. The Elden Ring DLC is coming out. That might be something to check out. Maybe. Who knows? And then maybe Earthbound or Mother 3. Maybe. Might be something to look into. If you guys, hit me up in the comments. Message me. Tweet. What do they fucking call it on Blue Sky? Fucking Bleat, probably. Or Skeet. No, yeah, it's Skeet. Skeet me. Skeet me on Blue Sky. Bluesky.com/Mrs. Gabby or whatever the fuck. I don't remember how their URL works. So that's stuff I wanna do. There's some things I want to do involving Persona 5 specifically, because I actually, believe it or not, have a pretty personal relationship with Persona 5, the original, not Royal, but Persona 5 original came out when I had my first apartment ever. I was 21, could not afford that apartment. The job I had at a grocery store did not pay enough, and my car was too expensive to take care of. So I ended up getting evicted not long, like I think a few months after getting that. And then I had to live with my dad for like a year, and that sucked. That was like terrible. I was like deep in the depression at that point. But I'll talk more about Persona 5 when the stream comes. I'm probably going to be chilling on like any big like stream projects like Persona 5 until like I have everything I want for it, and we'll probably just be doing like really casual stuff. Maybe stuff like this where I'm just talking. And like some other casual games like Helldivers 2 is something I've been wanting to play since I saw it came out and they fixed the servers. I know Mo wants to play that with me. I know there's like 3 or 4 different people that want me to play what's that one game? What's that one game everybody wants me to fucking play? Not Lethal Company, the other one. What is that game? It's probably not important. I'm sure Amo, she's gonna be fucking upset with me for forgetting the name of the game. Probably just gonna be doing like casual stuff once I get back in to streaming pretty regularly, so I can kind of like get my groove on, get kind of remember where I'm at. And then from there we'll go. I do want to talk about, I want to take a minute here to talk about Dead Space Remake, because honestly I don't think I have the energy to type up a full review of the game like I did with Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 was very much just, I was in a very specific headspace that like let me write that much after playing that game. Dead Space doesn't really elicit that kind of feeling from me personally. Dead Space Remake is good. It's a little less good than the original Dead Space in for the most part, and then and then there's times where it really outshines Dead Space original because one getting rid of the turret section and changing it and then keeping that mechanic for like at least one other fight, smart idea. I think that turret section Dead Space 1 is not super necessary, like mechanically speaking. Like plot, it's important to for the most part because they have to be able to defend themselves from random fucking meteors and shit. But I don't think the mechanic of like left and right clicking on my mouse to aim and shoot at something was super crucial, especially because that had a really bad mouse what was that what was that feature, quote unquote feature. It had like a weird mouse bug with mice involving not input delay, mouse acceleration. So it was just bad. It just didn't feel good to play on mouse and keyboard, and it was kind of impossible to do it on gamepad for a while. I think just because of the way the sensitivity worked on that. So, you know, stuff like that. I think the changes to the turret section in the remake were good. I think that visually it looks good. That's not super important. We kind of expect that from remakes, that it does something visually to kind of, you know, make itself to justify itself, right? That's what AAA games want to do. They want to justify themselves most of the time, especially remakes. You know, it's a lot of the same art design as the original, so I definitely see Dead Space remake holding up like graphically over time, you know, just like the original Dead Space does. And I think a lot of that is due to its really, really good use of lighting, especially in this game. This version of the game, they do take some time to like deal with, like put you in just pitch black, that I think is really good, and also help show off their lighting system and stuff with Isaac's HUD and whatnot. Things I don't think were like better. I don't think opening up the Ishimura in the way that they implemented it was super necessary. I think that's another one of those things where they felt the need to change in order to, like, again, justify their existence. My ongoing theory really is that EA looked at the cost to make the game and said, you need to make them go back, like to go through these areas more than one time, to justify the cost of realizing this like 3D space to this level of fidelity. And I think 4 side quests just isn't really worth it. It's not worth the time to go back and stuff. Maybe on like repeat playthroughs, which I did do. I did a new game, and then I did New Game Plus playthrough. Can't say they're particularly worth it. There's a New Game Plus exclusive, like quote unquote like secret ending. It's, you know, it's basically what you think it's gonna be. It wasn't what I was worried it was gonna be. I was really concerned it was gonna be one of those endings where you know, you're gonna get like a little cutscene and then you go right back and do the normal ending like usual. But thankfully it was like quote unquote like a real ending. But it's really nothing to write home about. I don't think it's gonna come up again. It might be setting up for like a sequel, maybe, depending on how you interpret what's going on, but it could just as easily just be like almost like a bad end. You kind of have to work harder for a bad end, which is weird. But you know, it was something. They added that. It was, you know, it's whatever. I think what they did with your they have this mechanic that again is mostly to help justify opening up the Ishimura and doing the side quests. They have security doors. So back in the original Dead Space 1, you had power node doors, right? And you know, power nodes were this resource that you could collect in the world, or you can buy them for like 10,000 credits. And 10,000 credits is pretty expensive, especially in the early game, because it's like, 10,000 credits is like 3 or 4 magazines of ammo, or it's 10 like healing items, right? So it's a big deal to spend your money on the power nodes. But what the power nodes would offer you is they would give you, if you used a power node on a door, you could get more resources behind that door. There's usually at least one more power node behind the door, or a shit ton of ammo, and money to like sell and use to buy another power node. Or you use a power node to upgrade your items, right? Your different equipment and stuff. And it's very easy to, like, you can fully upgrade one weapon, your entire suit, and your like kinesis module in the same in the same playthrough in Dead Space 1. And you can do that here, and then some in Dead Space Remake. So they kind of tweaked that a little bit. Now, what they do to kind of change it is, instead of power node doors, you have security clearance doors, and they go from 1 to 3. And then if you do a side quest, you can get the master lock, which basically unlocks very specific doors in the world, right? And you need to do that. And basically, if you don't have a security clearance, you have to go back and at a later point when you get it, because it's security clearance is purely locked behind progression in the story. So the intent is that you get all these security clearances, and then you think back on areas that you've been, go back and pick up the items that you missed, right? But the problem is that these security doors are like super nothing. Like, there's very few resources in them compared to power node doors usually. And the higher the security clearance does not necessarily mean the better resources. I have opened up a level 3 security clearance like locker and gotten something just as good as any other locker in the room, like any normal locker. And it's really disappointing, because it's like, you go through the effort of like remembering, because there's a lot of security clearance like containers, right? That's just what they all containers can have a security clearance. And there's so many, and like it feels kind of shitty that like you think back like, oh, I have security clearance 3 now. I can go back to the mining sector and unlock that thing that I saw, and you'll get like 500 credits. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, to walk all the way back, go through the tram, get some mining, go find the thing that you were talking about, that you're thinking about, and then all you get is 500 credits, and you probably had to fight a bunch of monsters on the way there, because they tend to repopulate at like certain rates. If the game detects that like you're gonna like do some like side quest stuff, they'll repopulate certain areas, usually like 1 to 2 enemies, but sometimes like it's usually just enough to make you have to kind of waste some ammo, which sucks if you're going to go collect resources. So you pretty much, like, instead of having a surplus of resources, you're now back to 0, right? You're back to square one, which is kind of like frustrating. So I don't think that was a particularly good implementation, and I don't think the side quests are particularly worth it. Story-wise, it's kind of the same. They changed some characters. They changed Hammond a bit, so instead of being kind of like a hard ass, he's like still a hard ass, but he cares about his men. He specifically cares about one specific guy, and it's not bad or anything. It doesn't feel homoerotic, not intentionally. I think that's just my fucking Fujoshi brain wanting to see queer people where there's not. But I mean, you could argue that there's some subtext, I guess, but there's no text to suggest that there's any like queer rep in here, unfortunately. They do a couple of things, like you'll find some new little text blog things. One of them explains that Isaac's mom was a unitologist and Nicole was her therapist, and that's how Isaac and her got together, which is just a weird breach of like so many like protocols you're not supposed to do as a licensed therapist or psychiatrist. So, you know, that's weird. Yeah, but it's pretty much the same story as Dead Space 1. So if you like the story of Dead Space 1, you're going to get the same here, right? Which is fine. If that's how they want to do a remake, that's how they want to do it. Not everything's going to be FF7 remake, which maybe that's for the best. I don't know. I haven't played that game. I didn't particularly like the parts that I played. So I think the best thing this game, the remake has, Dead Space remake has over the original is the accessibility options. It's playable on a controller now properly without issue. Mouse and keyboard feel good. There's no mouse acceleration issues anymore. They have a lot of really good accessibility options like gore filters, content warnings right before stuff happens, QTE minimization stuff. So like instead of like mashing, you're just pressing a button once, or holding a button, I think is also an option. Stuff like that. It's nice. So if you really need those accessibility options, then yeah, Dead Space Remake is the better version for you. But if you're not somebody who needs those accessibility options, or maybe doesn't mind not having them, then, you know, you're not gonna have a bad time in particular playing the original. So that's kind of my thoughts on Dead Space Remake. I wanted to make sure I got that all out there. I've talked about it like ad nauseum in voice chats and stuff, but you know, I don't think I had anything like on paper. What else? Man, I've been following what's been going on with Palestine as closely as I can, and it's not depressing, it's infuriating with the absolute lack of empathy so many people can have about the murder of hundreds of thousands of people, or tens of thousands of people. I'm not sure what the let me go back. Let me see what the death toll is. This is gonna be upsetting. Yeah, so sorry, 30,000 people, so tens of thousands of people dead, and 70,000 people wounded, and that number gets higher with every fucking day. And that's just Palestinians. They're also attacking people in Syria. They're attacking people in fucking, I think it was Lebanon, I just fucking saw on Twitter. They're just straight up firing in fucking Lebanon. Like, that's so fucked. And then, like, you know, having these conversations at work about like, hey man, it's really fucked up how much what's going on. And then having to deal with the liberal mindset of like, yeah, but do you think Hamas is our problem? Or, yeah, well, do you forsake what Hamas has been doing? And it's like, Hamas is not the fucking problem here, dog. They've already offered multiple times to let the citizens let their hostages go if Israel just fucking stops bombing people. And they just refuse because it's a genocide, and it doesn't matter what Hamas or Palestine wants. That Israel wants the entirety of Palestine and all Palestinians to be gone, and it's infuriating. And I try to talk about it when I can. I do my best to, you know, tweet, comment, and like engage with the news as much as I can. And it's so disheartening, so much to see how much I've seen. But I have to, because like, you have to, if you have the capacity to, I think it's important that we see what's happening and that we remember what's happening, because we have to hold on to these feelings basically for the people that are gone, right? We have to hold on to these feelings of pain, anger, sadness, hatred, all of that, because that has to be our fuel for making the future better for these people for the people that are still here. And I'm just, random white girl here in Texas. So I'm doing what I can, with the boycotts and stuff. Um, and I just urge everybody to do the same. Please do your best to obey the boycotts. Obey, if there's a weekend where we're not supposed to buy anything, just please do your best to do that. And please do your best to engage with the news, engage in conversation. Do not. I try my goal, or I guess not my goal, but I want to talk about Palestine to another person or see Palestinian news at least once a day. Preferably like as many times as I can throughout the day. And that's just because, like, one, the story update is updating so quickly every day. Shit changes every fucking day. But also it's like keeping engaged, keeping the content, I guess, the news in circulation helps to make sure that other eyes see it. And if we're speaking out loud about Palestine to our peers, that keeps it in the, I guess, the zeitgeist, the cultural like mindset. If you can have somebody like just one other person having to think about, other than yourself, having to think about Palestine and the horrors that are happening with this genocide. If one other person can just think about it and they pass that on to the next person and the next person, the next person, I can only hope that enough noise will be made to help Palestinian people, if to some capacity. And I know that's not much, and I know, like, me talking isn't going to do a lot, but I want to just urge everybody, please, to just fucking remember Palestine. Remember that they exist. Remember that they're people. These are people being murdered in the fucking street, being bombed every day, being forced out of their homes, being pushed up against a wall, figuratively and literally. Please remember Palestine. Please remember the Palestinian people. They don't deserve this. Nobody deserves this. Nobody deserves a genocide. This is fucking insane. Don't let fucking liberals tell you that, oh, well, that's what they, get for siding with Hamas. Don't let conservatives tell you that Israel was in the right and that this only started in October. This has been going on since the fucking 40s, since the founding of Israel. Please don't forget. Is basically the most I can say. To weirdly transition. I don't know how to tie this off, so I'm gonna go off and say my socials. You guys can get in touch with me or check me out or whatever. So we'll start with my Twitter/X account. So my Twitter account is at Mrs. Gabby _. So that's gonna be at MRSGABBY_. Right? That's my Twitter. What's my Blue Sky? It's this shit load. There's stupid butterfly icon. Okay, so Blue Sky is easy, at mrsgabby.bsky.social. Also, Jesus Christ, they have to figure out a better naming scheme with their fucking URLs. That is so, like, why? Nobody's gonna remember that. But yeah, Mrs. Gabby. TikTok. What is my TikTok? At Mrs. Gabby _. So Twitter and TikTok are the same thing. And Twitch is again Mrs. Gabby _. So everything is Mrs. Gabby _. What's my, oh, that is just saw something very okay. Oh god. And then my YouTube account is at Mrs. _Gabby. So if you put Mrs. Gabby, you're bound to find me. And if you can't find me, put an underscore at the end or in between. You'll figure it out. Oh yeah, I think that's all I have in me. But that was a solid 30 minutes of talking. So awesome. Thank you guys for checking this out. Appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And I'll see you guys soon. If you guys like this stuff, maybe I'll do another one. Who knows? All right. Check you later. Bye.